Welcome to herself360.com and to our series of Women of Interest. Today we are with Susan Walker of Elia Photography. She does fascinating pieces with her film and her photographs. You're going to love it. Susan, welcome.
Thank you. Thank you for having me.
Thank you for being here. Oh my gosh, there's so much to talk about. We've actually had a session with myself and my partners with Susan. It was a lot of fun. I got to tell you that. Taking photos has never been so much fun. So Susan, let's talk about you and your photography, because on your website, I love the array of photographs that you have. Like a lot of times you go and it's like mostly wedding pictures, and of yours, I just see individuals and groups of women that they're either sisters or they're parents and daughters and just things like that. You tell me, what made you do this and what's your purpose in doing it this way?
Well, I've been shooting for about 20 years, a little over 20 years.
She started when she was 10.
Yes, I was in the womb. And and I've done the weddings and I've done the families and all of that stuff. But I really wanted women especially to get a little bit special treatment. Yes. And because we don't exist in photos as women, we kind of stand behind the camera and we take pictures of our kids and we're like, no, just my daughter, I have to lose 10 pounds, or, we're really hard on ourselves. And I think I just wanted to do something a little special for them. So I have women come in, I have them do their hair and makeup. I have somebody there doing their hair and makeup. And it's just this pamper day, and you come in with girlfriends, you come in with your mom and your grandmother and your family, and it's just, it just makes the day really memorable.
Yeah, it does. I can attest to that, as can my partners. Yeah. So let me ask you this. You have a thought, and I couldn't agree with you more, you'd mentioned, about the fact that as women, as you said, we get left out. We also tend to get left out at a certain age. Like all of a sudden, I've been in the media, and there's always this demo that says 25 to 54, and I go, oh shoot, in 6 years, nobody's going to talk to me. By the way, and I didn't just say 6 years, I'm like way beyond that demo. But you're thinking about a series, because it's true. We get left out as women as we get to the 40s and the 50s. Speak to that and what your thought is and what your idea is.
Well, it's a little special promotion that I have coming out, so I'll roll that out soon. And I just really want to highlight 50 is fabulous. Women in their 50s plus. As we get older, and I find this as I got into my 40s, I became more invisible in just the world and just anywhere, in stores, to other people. You kind of just become invisible, and it's a weird thing to go through. And I really want these women to be celebrated, because they shouldn't be forgotten.
Right.
Because these are the women, they're the matriarchs, they're the people in our families that hold the family together. They're the glue, and they're amazing, and I really want them to be showcased. And I think that every woman deserves to be in a photograph, and I really believe that.
Mm-hmm. You can see it in your work. You really pull it out. You do. Something else I wanted to ask you about, the fact of what you're doing with these older women, but also the transition that you notice from the time someone comes in. You had mentioned by the time they leave, you feel something totally different. Talk about that.
Well, every shoot I do, at the end of it, I look at my first photo and I look at my last photo of the day. And it's amazing. And it's the same woman. Nothing's changed as far as how she looks, but there's something really soulful that's come out. And I think that has a lot to do with trust. It has a lot to do with just being vulnerable in front of another person. And I think as women, we tend to be a little more guarded. And as we get older, even more so. And I love seeing that transformation of, there's a softness, there's a vulnerability, there's all of this stuff swirling around in them, and there's a moment where you get it, and it just changes, and it's so incredible. And it's really humbling, because it's a very intimate thing to have somebody photograph you, and you almost feel naked, and having somebody look in you like that it's very humbling for me.
That's great.
Yeah. So
there's a term we talked before, and there's a term that you use that you got from your mother. I really think you should speak to that because you're speaking to a community of women who what your mother told you, I think is awesome, and that our community on Herself 360, they should know about this. You say it, tell them.
So my mom used to tell my sister and I all the time to occupy your space, and she would say it in Portuguese, so it translates to occupy your space, which means own your space. And when we were growing up, I always thought it's my mom's way of keeping me in check, whereas like occupy your space, don't go through your boundaries. And, she used to say that to my sister all the time because my sister would kind of get into everybody's space. And my mom and I were talking about a year ago, and she said, I used to say that to you for very different reasons than I would tell your sister. Your sister, again, was in everybody's space, and she said, you never owned your space. She said you would kind of shy back into a corner and just let the world kind of go around without you. And she said, I used to try to just draw you out of that, and you need to own your space, own the space you live in, and celebrate it. And I was like, what? That's what you said to me? That's what you meant all those years ago? So it's taken me a long time, but I think that was a pivotal point for me just a year ago when she told me that, and I was like, oh, that's what you meant. And so it's taken me a long time, but I'm finally stepping into that place, which is really exciting.
That's awesome, because I think a lot of people that are going to be watching this, they are going to say, wow, that's interesting. Do I occupy my space?
Yeah.
And I think that a lot of us don't. I also think of what you mentioned earlier of going 50 and beyond. We definitely don't occupy because we're losing our space. So I just love the phrase. I like how your mom pointed it out to you. I'm probably more like your sister because I'm in everybody's space. It's just who I am. But yeah, no, I think that's very important and key. And your photographs definitely display the woman and who she actually is. They're really amazing. You have to go and check them out. So now, having said all this, as I'm speaking to you, what actually, of what you do and what you see that you're speaking to women who are 18 to 118, that you want them to walk away from, that you've learned either as an entrepreneur or just being a photographer, working with all these women, speak to them.
Well, own your space first and foremost, and document your life. Don't let your life pass by with feeling not good enough to existing in some sort of documented way, and exist in a photograph. This is why I do what I do. I want women to have that. We do it for everything else, every other milestone, babies, weddings. Just celebrate that moment of who you are in that space, in that time, whether you're 8, whether you're 18, whether you're 100. Just celebrate that woman who you are. That's it. That's simple. It's a simple message.
Yeah, how about that? Yeah. But a lot of people do forget.
Yeah.
You're right. They do. Well, thank you.
Thank you so much.
Yeah, this has been great. Thank you all for joining myself and Susan, and thank you for visiting herself360.com. Come back soon and often.